All right, so hi everyone, good evening. So this is going to be a webinar for a batch that will be starting this Saturday. So we are going to conduct our new Comptia core program for on Saturdays and Sundays at 8:30 a.m. IST. Okay, so it will be around 2 hours every weekend. So Saturday 2 hours and Sunday 2 hours. So here we are going to take up three different certifications, right? So have you all heard of A plus, Network plus, and Security plus? Yes. Gopi, Jayant, Manish, Manoj.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So which certification do you find the most, interesting? Yes, yeah, yeah.
Hello, say that again, please.
Yeah. So which certificate have you heard of A plus, Network plus, and Security plus before?
Yeah, I've heard of it, but I haven't really got into it.
Okay. So, which certification have you, set your sights on? Is it A plus, Network plus, Security plus, or just
Security
exploring?
plus, networking plus, actually. Network plus, yeah.
Okay. All right. So, I'm going to walk all of you through these three courses, and I'm going to tell you how it's going to be. When it comes to the core program. So basically, whenever people step out in their career as an IT engineer, uh, they are expected to have some basic knowledge related to troubleshooting of networks and troubleshooting of devices in enterprise environments, right? Most of the people start with CCNA. It's one of the best certifications out there for a network engineer, but it's for network engineering, right? So if you start as a desktop support engineer or as a support engineer, or let's say an IT analyst, which certification you should go for initially? Well, that is A plus. Okay, so Comptia is an extremely big name in the IT industry, especially in the Western countries like the USA, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, UK. But in India, some of the certifications by Comptia have been gaining, popularity, like Security Plus, CYSA, and Pentest Plus. So here we are going to start with the very basics of computing, right? So if you have heard of Comptia A plus, then let me tell you that there are two certifications that come under A plus. So we've got 1101 and 1102. So 1101 focuses on hardware, right? So this is for those who want to set up their own support centers where they will be repairing devices and fixing all the issues that a customer would face, right? So in that scenario, 1101 would help you out a lot. Okay. And then 1102 is going to prepare you for the industry, right? So let's say you're going to step out as an engineer and that's going to be your first job. Let's say it would be maybe a tech support engineer or maybe an IT analyst. So in that case, all the prerequisites that are required, okay, they will be fulfilled through A plus. So right from the basics of Windows devices, Windows operating systems, all the way up to scripting, right? So you're going to learn all of this in A plus. So in A plus, you're going to learn a lot about troubleshooting, the basics of networking. Why basics and why not in detail? Because you've got Network Plus for that. Okay. Along with that, what kind of tools, what kind of administration tools are already available on Windows devices, like what is MMC, what is a snap-in. So why can't you straight away use computer management? Why do you need customized dashboard through Microsoft Management Console? So let's say in an organization, you might want to restrict some of the devices for some of the users. So how would you do that? Would you do that in a work group or would you do that in a domain? So all of this is going to be taught in A plus, right? And so like I already mentioned, A plus gets broken down into two certifications, 1101 and 1102. So most of our focus will lie on 1102, but we will still dedicate 5 to 6 hours for 1101. Why? Because here you are going to learn the basics of the hardware components in your computer. So why opt for a DRAM rather than an SRAM? Uh, why would we prefer SSD over HDD? And let's say you want your computer to boot up extremely fast, then should you choose a UEFI or a BIOS? Okay, well, choosing a UEFI or BIOS is not entirely up to us when we buy a laptop, but then uh, if you know the differences and you ever want to work with virtual machines, this knowledge is going to help you out a lot, right? And then after this, after spending 30 to 35 hours on A plus, we will move on to Network plus, right? So Network plus is very similar to CCNA, okay? But well, in India, a lot of people focus on CCNA because it has made its name, and a lot of recruiters prefer CCNA. But these days, a lot of organizations are preferring those individuals who have an overall knowledge, okay, rather than just focusing on the Cisco stack or on the Juniper stack. They would require the individuals to have an overall knowledge through which they can maybe work with a newer vendor as well. For example, they know how STP works, and let's say if they want to work with STP on a Huawei switch or on a HP switch, would they be able to do that, or are they just restricting themselves to Cisco stack, right? So right from the very beginning of networking, here you're going to learn the different models, like the OSI model. Then we are going to move on to TCP IP. And then there's one more model or project. Can anyone tell me which model am I talking about? The one that is responsible for Wi-Fi, the one that is responsible for Bluetooth, the one that is responsible for all the Ethernet cables that you use. Can anyone tell me which model or project am I talking about here? Yes. Anyone? Would you
I
tell?
think OSI.
So OSI is going to be more theoretical rather than practical. There's one more model. Okay, so you use Wi-Fi. What's the technical name for Wi-Fi? What is
Wireless.
that code name? We actually call it 802.11, right? Right. So wait, how do you think this standard, uh, you know, came into effect? We use cables, right? We use cables like the Ethernet cables. So there's a standard for those cables, 802.3. How do you think that standard got introduced? Okay,
Well, I think IEEE has a place.
exactly, Gopi. So there is a project called the IEEE 802 project. Well, it's ongoing. Okay, so unlike OSI and TCP/IP, which were introduced in 1970 and 1980, respectively, 1970s and 80s, respectively, IEEE started in mid 80s, and it is still out there. It is an ongoing project. So all the latest technologies that you get, for example, you must be aware of Wi-Fi 6, okay, or you must be aware of WPA3. That's the latest standard for encryption. How are we getting such amendments to these already existing standards? That is from the IEEE 802 project, right? So certification like CCNA, well, CCNA is not actually meant for complete beginners, to be very honest, because, well, whenever I teach CCNA, I make sure that they get acquainted with the very basics of OSI, IP addressing, subnetting, as well as the IEEE 802 project. But those topics are not explicitly covered in CCNA, okay, or they're not covered implicitly in CCNA. I teach them by myself, okay. At networkings, we do add those topics as well. But when it comes to Network Plus, all of these topics are already included in the syllabus. So let me just walk you through the syllabus copy as well. So this is N10008, okay. So unlike all the other vendors, whenever you take an exam from Comptia, you should be aware of the exam number or the exam code, right? So in case of A plus, if you have to get A plus, you need to take both the exams, 2201101 as well as 1102. So if you just take one of them, you will not get that shiny certificate, okay. But in terms of Network Plus, you can only take one. So there are two versions of Network Plus. One is N10007 and the other one is N10008, which was released last year. Okay, it was released in September 15. It was released on 15 September, right? So it has included all the latest topics now. So right from the standards that are covered in almost every networking certification, all the way up to how NAT works, what are the different types of cables, what is the difference between Cat 5, 5E, 6, 6A, 7, 8, what is shielded cable, what is a braided cable, all of that is going to be discussed here, right? So along with that, it is also going to teach you some hardening techniques, right? So I don't know how many of you have already heard of LLDP, or how many of you have already heard of SNMP, or how or the way these protocols work, right? So learning about them is something different, but when you actually translate theory into practice, you need to be aware of all the scenarios that can happen, right? So for example, if you're working with LLDP, so should you expose a router to LLDP in case maybe an attacker is trying to sniff your network? Should you do that or not? So the basic hardening techniques will also be discussed in Network Plus, okay? And then when it comes to DNS, there's an obvious difference right here. So when I teach DNS in CCNA, all I have to do is to explain what is a relay agent and what is a server, right? And we'll talk about the port numbers that DNS uses, and that's it. But when it comes to Network Plus, you're going to learn each and everything, like what is an A address versus what is an AAAA address, what's CNAME, what is MX, what is SOA. So as a network engineer, let me assure you that you will not be encountering these records every day. But after Network Plus, once you take Security Plus and you get introduced to the OWASP top 10, the different record types of DNS will be very helpful. Okay, so can anyone tell me the difference between A versus AAAA? Anyone wants to take a guess? Okay, can anyone tell me how DNS works? What is DNS?
It converts a name to IP and IP to name.
Okay, and what kind of IP addresses do we have, Gopi?
Public and private.
No, I'm talking about IPv4, and then there is another one.
Yeah, IPv6.
IPv4 and IPv6, right? So for a domain or for a URL that we have, we could have an IPv4 address as well, and we could have an IPv6 address as well. So whenever you find out the URL's IPv4 address, it is known as the A record. Okay. And A record is supposed to be 32 bits. Can anyone tell me how big is an IPv6 address? Although I'm going to teach you in the classes, but I just want you to take a guess here.
128 bit.
Right, exactly. So that's the reason why it is known as AAAA record. Okay. And then along with this, you've got other record types as well. So in Network Plus, or as your journey as a network engineer, initially you're not going to work with all these record types, But let's say after taking Security Plus, you want to become a pen tester, right? So at that time, these record types are going to be very helpful for you, very helpful. Okay. So now, as all of you know, that networking is not just limited to traditional networking, right, or the traditional architecture. We now work with SDNs, software defined networks. We now work with cloud. We work with virtualization. So when it comes to virtualization, uh, this knowledge of traditional networking would help, but it's not enough, right? So in that scenario, you would also need to know what is SAN, what is NAS, what are the different types of storage protocols. So have you ever heard of NFS or SMB, network file storage protocol, or SMB, server message block? Anyone? So Network Plus also covers that. Okay, so that is also going to be there in Network Plus, right? Now, along with that, just let me tell you, Network Plus is it's a beast in terms of the material that it covers. So we do spend a good amount of time on Network Plus, way more than A Plus, because A Plus is something that you can catch up to very easily, and it's going to be trivial for most of you because all of you have a good amount of experience working with your own computers. You just need to work with those tools that will make your life easier now. But in terms of Network Plus, there's a lot to learn. Okay, there's a lot to learn. And this is just going to set a foundation for the upcoming certification, that is Security Plus. Okay, so just like Network Plus, Security Plus also has two versions, SYO 501 and 601. So 501 is retired. Although on their official store, you still might find some coupons, okay? But you don't have to buy them because the exam is retired. So the certification that you will be focusing on for Security Plus will be SYO 601, okay? And some students opt for all of the certifications. However, I don't recommend taking all three of them. So if you have Network Plus, it automatically justifies that you have knowledge of A Plus. If you have Security Plus, it automatically justifies that you have knowledge of Network Plus. Okay, so depending on your needs, so some of you might venture out in the industry as desktop support engineers, and the organization might require a certification like A Plus. So I would suggest you to focus on A Plus in that scenario, right? Or if you want to become a network engineer, right, and you should opt for Network Plus. And then let's say you want to start as a cybersecurity analyst, and assuming that you already have some experience in the industry as a network engineer or as a support engineer, then Security Plus is the certification for you, right? So that is what you should opt for. And Security Plus, like the other certifications from Network Plus, it also touches upon a lot of domains in cybersecurity, like what is pen testing, what is malware analysis, what is digital forensics. So it also keeps into account the latest domains of cybersecurity. For example, we've got virtualization security now, we've got cloud security, we've got automotive security. So SYO 601 will teach you all of that. Okay. And well, this is the official syllabus, and obviously we are going to go according to the syllabus. But then if you look at the course portal, so this will be your course portal. Okay, once you enroll and once we start our classes from this Saturday, this is what your course portal would look like. Okay, so this is Comptia package. Okay, so this is the first package from Comptia, and it is known as Comptia core package. So just let me tell all of you, these three courses form the Comptia core package. Okay, and we will start with A plus initially, and with every session you're going to get recordings, and Along with that, I'm going to add some links and assignments for you to go through. So for example, the very first topic of A plus is CSAT and DSAT. If you have worked in the industry, if you have worked in the IT industry, can anyone tell me what is a CSAT, what is a DSAT? It's not a technical term. It's related to how you solve those tickets that are generated. Any idea? Okay, no worries. So CSAT is client satisfaction or customer satisfaction, and DSAT is like a dissatisfaction. Okay, so when you join the industry, when you join an organization, you will not be told to start configuring the devices right away. You will be told to work on the already existing configurations, or you will be told to maintain a configuration. Now, maintaining usually means that there would be some issues and you would have to resolve them. So how would you do that? So obviously through your technical knowledge, but you should have some communication skills as well, right? And A plus is the only certification that would teach you that. Okay, so if you deal well with your customer or your client, you get a CSAT, and more the CSATs you have in your arsenal, better for you in order to get a promotion in the organization, right? So the very first topic is that, and then for every topic, like I mentioned, there will be some links that I'll be attaching and some assignments that you would be working on. Deal well with your right. So that's how it is going to be. And we are going to spend a good amount of time on A plus. Then let me show you the course portal for Network Plus as well, because Network Plus is going to be more interesting. Why? Because there's going to be a lot of mathematics involved in the first part of Network Plus. Any guesses why mathematics would be involved? Yes. Any guesses? Okay. Subnetting, right? So what do you think? So have you ever subnetted IP addresses or networks before? Some people think of it as a very exhaustive and boring task, but once you get the hang of it, you will be obsessed with subnetting and you will try to solve a lot of questions on your own. Okay, and we have that in our course as well in Network Plus. And if you look at this quiz, so this is a quiz that I posted for the students from the previous batch, and these are some of the really interesting questions that you would be working on. Okay, and Network Plus is a big course. Okay, I know how much time I spent while teaching this course. It took me a lot of time finishing Network Plus. Okay, and then finally you would have Security Plus, right? And Security Plus is going to be more practical, because in terms, when it comes to cyber security, it wouldn't make sense if I just teach you theoretical stuff and skip the practicals, right? It wouldn't make sense at all. So right from the beginning, we deal with really cool labs. So this is related to cryptography. This is a lab related to Windows pen testing, and here I am showcasing a tool called Metasploit, right? So how you can make use of an automated framework called Metasploit to gain access into an operating system. Could be any operating system. Well, here in this example, I showed them the vulnerability called MS17010, and you might not have heard about this vulnerability, but it is related to a very famous ransomware that spread in 2017. Have you guys heard of WannaCry? WannaCry ransomware? Oh, okay. So this lab is related to how WannaCry ransomware works and how will it spread inside the network. Okay. So this was basically a demo of how the course is going to be, of how this complete batch is going to be structured, right? Now, if you guys have any questions, I would be happy to answer them. So if you have any questions related to, what you should do after Network Plus, or, after Security Plus, if you have interest in cybersecurity, which other certifications can you pursue? Or, any questions that you have, or any domain related questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
How long would you think it would take me to get a hand of like learning networking?
So basically the course will be around, the whole course, A plus, Network Plus, and Security Plus, that would be around 80 to 90 hours. And I'm only talking about the live sessions, right? So if you practice well enough, right? If you practice well enough, because usually for every class, I would assign some assignment or some homework. So if you practice that, I know, because in the first assignment, you might not be able to get the answer right. Okay, so it would take some time. So I would assume, if you have complete zeal and passion for networking, it would take you like 60 to 70 hours, right? And that would be more than enough to at least get a good foothold in networking. And then it's all about practice. It's all about reading what is happening in the networking industry, for example, keeping up to date with all the wireless standards, because these days, whenever you look at any job description, they don't just want you to have basic routing and switching knowledge. They would also like you to have some knowledge on security, some knowledge, like how can you work with access control lists, how can you work with some basic firewalls, not an industry grade firewall like Palo Alto, but if you're good with PFSense, which is an open source firewall, you're good to go, right? So
Do you think I need to go
what
university? Would you think I need to go university, or should I just keep on studying this like more and more?
see, from my own experience, I studied at a university as well. I got my master's in networking and telecom, but the courses that they teach us, they're extremely theoretical, right? So yes, they would help you in writing a research paper or two, but then when it comes to practical scenarios and getting to know about what is like there in the industry, certifications help, right? So during the first year of my master's, all I was learning was some theoretical stuff, like how to solve these numericals and do this or do that. But then I took an initiative and took the CCNA exam, right? And that is what helped me. That is what actually helped me, right? So if you mix and match that approach, maybe you opt for uni as well as you take a course or you take a certification course that would
Help me a
help
bit.
you, right? That would help you a lot, right? But then if you think that you only have an associate degree and you don't want to go for a bachelor's degree, then spending money on certifications is actually a good thing. See, in India, we need to have a degree, right? We need to have a university degree, at least a bachelor's degree. But in the UK, in US, in Canada, and all the other Western countries, they don't focus too much on the degrees or the university degrees, right? They focus on your skills, what kind of skills you have.
Yeah.
And certification would be just a proof of, the skills that you have.
So I'm living in the UK, so I wouldn't really need to go to university to get a job for like networking and security.
Not really, because I have dealt with a lot of students, and they don't really have master's degrees or bachelor's degrees. They just have their associate degrees, those 2-year degrees, and some of them started pursuing certifications after completing high school, right? So it completely depends on the geographical location as well. So obviously, if you were in India, I would suggest you to take a degree, a university degree, and then move on to take a certification. But in the UK, you can straight away take a certification, and that would actually help you out a lot.
Okay.
Because if you compare the cost, right, a degree would cost you around 12,000 pounds, or how much is it going to be, somewhere in that range, right? but a certification is just going to cost you like 300 pounds, 400 pounds, and even the premier level certifications, let's say for cybersecurity, they would at the most cost you around 2,000 pounds, not more than that. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. Any other questions, guys?
Oh, sorry.
Yes,
Yeah, sure,
I
sure.
have a question. What you think is better for all courses or the A plus, Network plus, and Security plus, or maybe better you start the Cisco CCNA?
Like I said, it always depends, right? So CCN is extremely good, but I'm just going to ask you a question. So do you already have some industry experience?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
And this is the problem, you know. I'm a little bit now, but when I look what you explained, A plus and Network plus, something is new for me.
Right.
I'm a little
And
bit confused.
right. So it happened with me as well. Why? Because the first certification that I took was CCNA. And then after that, when I actually started teaching A plus, Network plus, and Security plus, trust me, I got to learn some new stuff as well, just like you mentioned. So CCNA only focuses on the Cisco stack, right? Just the Cisco stack. So
Yes, it's
later,
concentrated for Cisco.
right. So later on, if you want to become a CCNP, which is Cisco Certified Network Professional, although they have changed the name for that certification, and then if you just want to be a master in the Cisco stack, go with CCNA. But these days, they don't have such requirements. So let's say you start with Network Plus, and you could then take on a Juniper certification, depending on which technology stack is being used in the organization that you are working in. So let's say you spend a good amount of money learning Cisco technologies and preparing for CCNA. And then when you make a transition to some other company, those guys are using Juniper. Okay. It's not going to take you a very long time mastering the Juniper Cisco command line. But then, yes, you would feel bad because you spend a lot of money on CCNA, and now the company that you're working for, they're using Juniper. And then later on, they might use Huawei or they might use HP.
Coordinate, Palo Alto,
Right.
yeah,
Right.
or Arista. Yeah,
Right.
exactly. I try to find which solution is perfect because for now, when I work the company, we have the mix.
Right.
Different
Exactly.
different customer, different devices. One want only Aruba, second want only the Cisco, the another one only Juniper, the MX, the router. I'm confused because I want to understand, but I don't know which solution, which the certification give me the information, the knowledge, you know, for a little bit for this.
Right. So Network Plus is going to teach you everything, right? So it's going to teach you how STP works, how VLANs would work. So obviously the configurations would differ a little bit for every vendor, but then Network Plus would ensure that you have those concepts. All you need to do is just look at the documentation for Cisco or for Juniper or for Aruba and just write it down. But the concepts will be cleared through Network Plus, right? So I am not going to say that Network Plus is better than CCNA, but then the environment in the modern era has changed. You don't work with a single vendor anymore. You need to work with multiple vendors. So uh, depending on what your goal is, if you want to become a network engineer, then you could take JNCIA, which is Juniper associate level certification. You could take CCNA, and then you could move on to CCNP or JNCIP. But then if you want to move into cybersecurity as well, then I would say that Comptia certifications would be better in that case.
Okay, thank you, Clara.
Right. Yeah. So any other questions, guys?
Sir, I have one question.
Sure.
Right now I'm in USA. So do you think after Comptia A plus and N plus complete, and after that I get a job or not? I will get a job or not?
Okay, so you're doing your master's, right? This time, currently, or what?
No. I'm right now. I'm working in warehouse job. I just want to switch my career in IT.
Okay, all right. So yes,
Yeah.
so Network Plus is a really good certification, and you mentioned that you're in the States, right? In the United States. So yes,
Yeah, in
so
Maryland.
right. So they would have some programs as well through which you can, get some vouchers for a discounted price. Although we also offered vouchers for discounted price, but then yes, in the United States, Network Plus is preferred over CCNA. Okay, unlike in India. Okay, so yes, I mean you complete the course and then go for just one certification. Like I mentioned earlier, if you take Network Plus and you pass the examination, it means that you have knowledge of both A plus as well as N plus, right? Or
Okay.
if you take Security Plus, it would also mean that you have knowledge of A plus, Network Plus, as well as Security Plus, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Got it? Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's how it would work. So yes,
So
that would definitely help you in your career. And obviously one certification is not going to change your life drastically, but yes, it is going to set you on the right path. It will help you in getting a job, and then later on, whichever domain you are in, let's say after a year you move into cloud, then you would have to pursue cloud related certifications as well, right? Do not consider
okay.
this as the only certification that you will be pursuing throughout your career.
Okay. I have to go for further study too, right?
Right, always. I mean, in
I
in the
need.
in the IT industry, you have to upskill yourself. If not every year, then at least every 2 years, you should aim for a new certification. And that is why they change their codes, because they keep on updating the material according to the relevant scenarios. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So, all right, everyone. Thanks for attending the session. Now we are going to meet on Saturday, 8:30 a.m. IST. So your counselor is going to, if you contact the counselor, they're going to basically tell you about the actual time difference as well, and will tell you how it will be for your time zone. Okay. So let's meet on Saturday. Thank you. It was nice interacting with all of you. Thanks a lot. Bye bye, and